Yikes, man. I hope that worked. Guys, this setup that I have right now is absolutely next level. So I have because I know you guys care so much, I have a portable podcast recorder. I have a camera. What's up, YouTube guys? How you guys doing? Okay. And then I have the computer in front of me. So I'm recording on 3 different things. And I only usually record on 1, maybe 2, and that's still easy because I just hit record button on 2 different things. But this time I had to hit record button on 3 different things, and I don't know if I did it right, and it was a lot, and I'm overwhelmed. Welcome to the show. It's your boy, Robby Rowland, the Robby Rowe Show Baseball Podcast. How we doing? Hold on. I think I can do an applause. Let me get... Nope, that's not it. There it is. Hey, how we doing? All right. That's fun. I like fun things. Here we go. Coffee. I'll tell you what, my hands are just it's cold. My hands have not warmed up since I got out of the cold tank. And I got a new little podcast mic boom set up here. How we doing? If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see how cool this looks. And, I mean, obviously, if you're listening to this, you can hear how good it sounds. I just realized I have 4 mics, and you guys probably just realized I just recorded for 2 minutes straight and didn't say a single thing about what this episode is. And now you're contemplating on turning this off and unsubscribing, which can't blame you. Anyways, okay, inner dialogue, self-talk, guys. We're not going to be recording all too long. I just wanted to have something out there on this subject because it hits home for me, and for me to do my due diligence of what I try to do within my brand, I need to put a huge emphasis and highlight the mental game of baseball. So what I'm going to talk about within inner dialogue and self-talk is going to be mainly focused on pitchers, obviously, right? Because that's what I can kind of relate best to, even though I drop nukes. But you can take this for any position, for any athlete, for any individual, because I'm really just going to key on very simplistic understanding of the power of the mind and how we can utilize that to our benefit. And it's frustrating for me as a player, obviously still playing, but finally coming to the realization of the importance behind mental conditioning and mental strength and mental fortitude later in my career. Because I'm telling you, man, like, obviously, you know, being drafted out of high school, I had this mindset / mentality of KISS, right? Keep it simple, stupid. And that's really what it was, which helped me become the performer that I wanted to be. But as I started getting into it and started failing, not knowing how to deal with that and not knowing the approach to take, right or wrong approach, it was just kind of like I have no idea what to do. I'm puzzled, dumbfounded. It's frustrating because if I would have known what I know now, and I know what personal growth is, and I know that we all go through experiences and so on and so forth. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you guys is, like, it's frustrating for me as a player, but B, it solidifies the fact that I know that I need to talk about this, and I know I need to put an importance behind it so you guys can be better equipped as you embark on your journey, right? That's what gives me purpose. So what I'm trying to say is I love you guys. And I know you guys might not love me back because I got a red beard, but I love you. I'm drinking coffee, black, a little bit of stevia, which is a rarity for me because I'm a big heavy cream guy. I tell you guys I'm back on keto. You're welcome. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, you can see the shirt. Reverse Lunge, Dr. Heenan, the Advanced Therapy Performance Team. They got a dope apparel line. Really dope. Actually, I'm going to include their stuff. I'm going to do a big favor for my guy Josh Heenan. I'm going to include the link to their shop in the show notes. therobbyrowshow.com/self-talk. Self-talk. TALK. sounds weird when I say it out loud, but therobbyrowshow.com/self-talk, one word. You'll find the show notes. On the show notes, you will find content on visualization, because we're going to get into that. You'll find a ton of content on the mental game, mental conditioning, mental stuff, and all that good that isn't quite emphasized in the industry, but I want to put an importance on that. So go to the show notes, check out all that, and like I said, I'll include ATP Shop in the show notes, so you can go pick up this dope shirt along with the other shirt that I have on Long Toss. Enjoy Long Toss. Getting into inner dialogue, self-talk. So I want to start this by saying a simple kind of statement that I personally believe, and this goes hand in hand with visualization. I personally believe that you are a product of your thoughts. I believe Brett Rodriguez said something very similar to that, if not the same thing. I just realized that. He said that his coach told him something along those lines. But the more that I sit and think about it, and the more, this has been coming up a lot in my meditation practice, about thinking about other ways to perform better, right? Because obviously I think the mainstream topics of the industry is very physical, right? We do all these physical training modality things that can equip us to, reach our goals on the field. We don't put a huge emphasis on the mindset and what goes on in between the ears. But I do believe, going back to that thought, is if you really think about it, you are a product of your inner workings of your mind. Along with that, I believe that, I'll ask you guys a question. Do you believe that you can have complete control over what you are thinking and what you're visualizing and what your brain is doing? Do you believe that you can have complete control of that? If you do, then I'm here to tell you today that we can put into practice how to I would love a really good quote right here to use as a soundbite, but I can't think of a word to use it. But you'll be able to bulletproof your mind. Holy smokes, there it was. Bulletproof your mind. Think about that. Because I'll be completely honest, and I'll be vulnerable with you guys, and tell you the one big downfall that I had, looking back at my career. Let's just go look at the year of 2015 to 2017, where I was really, on the brink of going to that next level, right? And embarking on that major league dream. I was on the cusp. I was there. The one thing, man, that really held me back, and kind of throughout the course of my career, was, for me, in between the ears. I'm old enough, I'm wise enough, and I'm mature enough to be able to tell you guys that and be vulnerable through that, because I do believe a lot of people struggle in between the ears, and as alpha males, as athletes, we don't want to admit that, because it is, you're soft, right? And you're a mental midget. Oh, who frickin' cares? What I mean? I feel like the quicker that you can acknowledge that, your downfalls, the quicker then you can then learn to control it, or at least learn to get better at it, right? So again, for me, I think, looking back on it, my inability to control my thoughts and control my inner dialogue and my self-talk, and my inability to visualize the things that I should have been visualizing, and all these things, I think, led to me obviously not being able to reach that next tier of baseball, and and so on and so forth. Because you look at it, I had the talent, I have the talent, I have, a lot of guys do, but it's the consistency of it. And I think for me, it was it was my kind of inner battle of perfectionism over and over again, and expectations. Anyways, I can talk about me all the time, but we're talking about inner dialogue, self-talk. So, like I said, I believe that if we believe we can control the inner workings of our mind, right, then we should be able to control internal thoughts, internal actions and all these things, right? So just sitting here, like the way that I look at it is you have a circle, say you have a circle, split the circle in half, left side internal, right side external, okay? We know that we can't really, like, we can put our best effort forward and try to control external environment and do our best to control the things going on, externally. Obviously, when we're looking at from the baseball side, it's a lot of performance-based stuff externally, right? A lot of things externally that we're seeking for. But when push comes to shove, like, can you really control that? Like, can you? Maybe. Because the way I look at it for a pitcher, like, as soon as the ball leaves your hand, right, it's essentially out of your control, right? I mean, not even essentially, it is out of your control. Like, you can do everything up to that point, leading up to that point where that ball releases, that leaves your fingers. You can do everything in your power, right, to put yourself in the best possible situation to have success and to win that particular pitch. But as soon as it's gone, and as soon as it's not in contact with your physical being anymore, you're not in control of it, right? But then we look at the left side of that circle. While we are looking at that left side of the circle, I just want to acknowledge a huge windstorm that is currently causing chaos in the training lab because we just put up tarps, and the tarps are not looking good. Oh, I think they're going to be blown over by today. That's not good. Anyways, here we go. Looking at the left side of that circle, inner, okay? Internally, right? This is where I'm like super fixated on these days because I do believe that you can have complete control of what goes on internally. Now, obviously, a lot of the internal stuff is going to be affected by what's happening externally, right? So, for example, internally, you're not going to be in a super great mood if externally you just didn't get out of the first inning, walked 4, gave up a bases clearing double, and you got pulled, and then the bullpen got freaking worn out because of you not getting out of your inning. Externally, that happened. Internally, now you are in a worse place. But if we really look at it, okay, you can have complete control of your thoughts. Now, that's not to say that it's easy. I go back on this a lot with myself and thinking about, okay, like, how can I be better mentally, and how can I learn from, some of the things that have gone out throughout my career, and how can I better equip myself moving forward from a mental standpoint. And I do believe that there's a couple senses of, constantly being mindful of, like, gratitude and getting to do it. I think that's something that I've talked about a lot with, my injury history. That's drastically has helped me in my development because I've gotten to the point where I've been forced away from the game because of my injury. And then that's kind of allowed me to be grateful for every opportunity that I get now when I put on a jersey, which helps me with my internally to be more happy moving forward. Now that goes without saying, like, you need to identify the type of competitor and the type of performer that you are, meaning certain people are going to perform better when they're pissed off. They put on that kind of mask, they become a different person. They have a split personality. They put the cape on and they're a different person when they step on the field of battle. For me, again, speaking from my experience, I'm just better. I'm a better performer when I'm happy. I'm grateful, and those things. I've talked about that in the past. But with all of that being said, I want to really now focus and dive into this self-talk, inner dialogue concept, which is, I often talk a lot about on my podcast the power that's in the breath, which allows you to focus on your breath, which gets you out of the constant conscious thoughts that could easily come into your mind when you're performing, And I've talked a lot about how there's, flow state, and how you are a better athlete when you're relying on your physical being and your movements from your physical self, rather than like having your brain and your mind get in the way of these of your performance. But what I haven't said in those particular segments on, the clearing the mechanism, I'll include that in the show notes as well. That was a good one, on clearing the mechanism, is the fact that like you can actually use the thoughts or your thoughts and your conscious, actions that are coming up in your mind. You can use those to your benefit, I believe. Okay. You can use those to your benefit. And the reason why I really wanted to dive into this today, because I don't want a lot of people, I think I got like 3 questions, this month regarding like kind of people coming up to me and asking like, or demonizing, this dynamic of thoughts during performance. Like they kind of, the way they worded the question was, I'll find myself thinking during performance, and I'll immediately like demonize it. And then all of a sudden from that action, I will then, like dislike myself because I did that. And then I'll put so much effort into not thinking that all of a sudden I realize I'm thinking so much. Anyways, you get the point. So I want to highlight there's a positive kind of affirmation, if you will, into controlling what happens internally and promoting positivity to allow yourself to perform at the best of your ability by way of inner dialogue, self-talk. The way that I look at it is it's just another mechanism, if you will, to promote that natural athlete competitor within you, right? We talked about the breathing. We talked about clearing the mechanism. We talked about all these things. And that's great if it works for you. Maybe you are someone that cannot think at all, or has to think about a song, or thinks about their favorite flavor ice cream or whatever, Space Cadet. That's fantastic. But maybe you're somebody that needs to put more emphasis into what your thoughts are promoting, or, helping you perform. Like, how can we control what we're thinking in performance to help aid in performance? And the way that I look at it, man, is like, you are going to face a time in which thoughts come up, whether it be like lead off double and you're like, oh crap, I'm in a jam already. I didn't even breathe yet, and I'm in a jam. Like, whatever happens, or even like the opposite effect, 0-2, and you execute a freaking pitch and you get a punchy, and you're walking around the mound while they throw the ball around, you're feeling yourself a little bit, like, and your self-talk there is like, let's freaking go. So now let's round it out. How can we control it? I don't know. I wish I had an answer for you, right? But I do want to, I want to encourage you by almost finding that like competitor spirit within you and enjoy that competition within yourself. Like, I don't know if that's making sense, but go back to that leadoff double, right? Already in a jam. Inner talk or inner dialogue, self-talk yourself into enjoying that jam, into enjoying the fact that like, I got a guy on second, no outs. Now I'm going to show everyone how good I am because I'm going to get out of this. And that's not to say you're putting a ton of pressure on yourself to get out of that jam. It's just encouraging your internal dynamic with positivity. And instead of the negativity where you do put pressure on yourself by saying, oh, frick, lead off double, it's 2, 3, 4 in the lineup. There's no way I'm getting out of this, dude. Right? Which is probably a realistic thought, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it has to come up, right? So I know this is hard, but this is why I put a lot of effort and intentional training / practice into my mental conditioning, into what I do daily that helps personally aid in my ability to control internal thoughts, which is putting yourself in uncomfortable environments, visualizing uncomfortable environments, whatever it is for you. I'll probably do another podcast on that because I could go on all day. But then finding yourself having the ability to control and be in that present moment, acknowledging that it's uncomfortable, acknowledging that you wish you weren't in this particular freaking situation, but like you're in it. Now we grind. Now we go, right? Like let's do this. And if it doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out. Find the next way to influence positivity within your inner dialogue, right? I'm trying to think like if there's got to be more ways to control that, right? I just find it as in I'm a competitor. Everyone listening to this is a competitor in a certain way, is a performer in a certain way. Almost find joy in the fact that like you get to, go out and grind. I remember my last outing now, not obviously, I don't know if I talked about it yet, but my last outing in winter ball, I was coming back from being sick. I hadn't thrown a whole lot. I was tired. I was fatigued. I couldn't breathe. #COVID. And before I went out, I like kind of chuckled and I was like, no wonder, of course I'd be put into this situation where I have to go out and perform in a really big game in the finals, while not being able to breathe, while not having my best stuff in the bullpen. But then I chuckled because it was like, let's go, right? Like another opportunity to compete, not only against another team, but against myself, and to prove myself that everything that I do from a training aspect, from a just overall, optimization of one's ability to perform on the field of battle, I get to prove that to myself. And that's fun for me. That's fun. And we talk about passion. If you have a passion for this, then everything that comes about, everything that is included within the game, obviously failure is a huge part of that, then it is fun. And you find a way to, through it all, right, through all of these external factors, all of this muck, you find a way to acknowledge, not try to deny, right? I think the more that you try to intentionally like deny that you're not uncomfortable, or you're not struggling with a certain thing, or you're not feeling good, right? Like it's the same notion in regards to like you're warming up in the pen before your outing and things aren't going good, and you try to deny that. Maybe that works, maybe it doesn't. But if it doesn't, then maybe just acknowledge the fact that you don't have your stuff, but then acknowledge the fact that I can control inner workings of my mind, and I can control my ability to still be positive and try to execute pitches the best that I know how. What I'm saying is that the worst thing for you is to be a product of like what is happening externally. Right now, obviously, again, this goes without saying, like it's not easy to do, but I want to encourage you with that it can be done. It can be. And what do I mean by what can be done, Robbie? What can be done is the fact that like things can be uncomfortable externally, right? So maybe you're not performing well. Maybe you're on a rough stretch. Maybe things aren't going your way every time you step onto the field. Maybe your arm's not feeling all of that great. Maybe you're tired. You didn't get enough sleep. Whatever the case may be. Insert example here, you still have an ability to control your thoughts. And like I said in the beginning, you are a product of your thoughts, and you are a product of your visualization. Now, the how I can't help you with, to be honest. I can give you what I've used and what I think works for me, but that's going to be a battle that you got to come up with on your own and try to decide that. And now this is something that you can't just go into the field of battle. You cannot just go into performance when things are on the line and then put that into practice, right? Like that's just not how it works. You're not going to be good at it. Like these are things that you got to set aside time and be intentional with this preparation, with this mental preparation of how to control internal environment, how to control what you're thinking. Right? Like you have to practice that. I sit in a freaking 40-degree cold tank every morning. It sucks every single morning, but at the same time, I constantly tell myself over and over again in my head while I'm in the moment, think about it, it's like 5 minutes, right? It's 5 minutes worth of my time out of the X amount of minutes that I'm breathing every single day. And I say, oh, this sucks. This absolutely sucks. It's freezing. I just came from a hot sauna, so it's even more freezing. But look, I'm acknowledging it. I can still breathe. I have breath. I have control of my breath. I have control of what am I thinking, right? And I'm not just disconnecting. I'm owning it. I'm owning that particular moment in time so I can acknowledge the uncomfort that comes within it. And then I could grow, right? Personal growth from that. I can discover, I can learn about myself. Like, what do I want to think? What do I want to do when I'm uncomfortable? I want to get out, right? I want to disconnect. I want to bail. But the more that you don't, the more that you embrace the suck, the more that you can do that and control breath, control thoughts. What are you showing yourself? You're freaking bulletproofing your mind, dude. And you have the ability. Do hard things. Do hard tasks. That helps with your mental practice. All right? Think about the opposite. You go out into the field of battle. You go to perform, whatever it is, and you don't, and you're out there and you didn't study for the test, right? You didn't prepare. Now when things when the tough gets going, you're gonna freaking bail, right? You're gonna just give in because you haven't practiced it. You haven't trained it. Train it. You have the ability to do that. Self-talk, be positive, inner dialogue, control. You have control of what you're thinking. Prove it to yourself, right? Breathe, focus on your breath, positive words of affirmation. You know, I know for me, this is something that I tried to deny early in my career, but I need affirmation. I do really well with affirmation. Now, I'm not always guaranteed to get affirmation from someone externally, right? An external source, but I sure as heck can be guaranteed to get that from myself. Doesn't mean I'm soft. It just means I know what I need to do to be the best version of myself when I perform. That's all that means, right? So, in recap, hopefully I can encourage you with the idea of controlling self-talk, controlling your inner dialogue in hopes to just be the best performer that you can be. Okay? And maybe some guys need the opposite of what I'm talking about. All right? Just because I'm talking about it in terms of like this what works for me doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you. Maybe you can try it, but you can also trial and error and figure that out, because I've met plenty of dudes. I've played with plenty of dudes that need the opposite, which is like, F you, Robby, like you're soft, you freaking P word, and then you do better. That's just the way it is. Like, it's the same thing with how certain people deal with like coaches that they can't stand, but they encourage them to get the best out of them. They push them to the brink of just complete, utter devastation in order for them to be refined into the greatest silver, right? So, but again, with that being said, you have control, you have the power to identify what it takes for you to be the best, what it takes for you to be the very, very absolute, no questions asked version of yourself as a person, as a, father, freaking mother, daughter, son, brother, sister, baseball player, soccer announcer, whatever it is, right? You have the ability to truly self-identify. And that's on you to do. Now, once you do that, set yourself up for success. Whatever you need to do, you can do it. Boom. Power of positivity, words of affirmation, self-talk, inner dialogue, 30 minutes. Whoa. Love you guys. I'm out. Question platform, therobbyrowshow.com/ask. If you guys want to ask me some questions, be sure to go to that. I'll include the link in the show notes. Show notes can be found therobbyrowshow.com/self-talk. That's one word. I will include content on visualization, more content on the mental game, self-doubt, the yips, and also the ATP shop. You can get this super dope shirt that I'm wearing right now. Doesn't guarantee you that you will be able to control inner dialogue, though. Just saying. Okay, I got to charge my Apple Watch and pour another cup of coffee while I edit this now. Who am I kidding? I don't edit this. Hopefully this is actually recorded because, like I said, 3 different things. Share this with somebody you guys know that maybe struggles with this. Do your part. Help spread the word. Power of positivity. All of that stuff. Love you guys. God bless. Enjoy the rest of your day. Peace out.